Hello everybody, it's Dr. Drake 63 and my friend. And today you see some tools laid out here on the butcher block. And the purpose of today's discussion is to talk about castle defense, home defense, and just a few thoughts on what that means. You hear and read so much of different guys talking about, hey, this is my go-to gun for home defense and so forth and so on. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my philosophies for home defense. I'm not going to show you all over the inside of my home, but want to kind of give you an idea of what I view as constraints and what some of the governing factors are in home defense. Now, here outdoors, having a firearm that was designed to basically send high-speed, high-velocity projectiles out to distances, say for example with this 300 Black, effective ranges of about 200 meters or less, I get that. But it's important to note that in most states, mine in particular, it's true, you have what's called the Castle Doctrine. Castle Doctrine's real simple. If somebody's inside your house, if someone has come inside your house, it's basically fair game. Armed or no, if they come inside your house, it's really hard to prove that they didn't intend to do you harm. Even though in my state, it's stipulated that you're supposed to try to barricade yourself in a room and call the police. Well, no thanks to that. Now, having said that, if somebody was sitting out in my driveway firing into my house, my first inclination isn't going to be to run and call the police. My inclination then is to do what's called be judged by 12 instead of carried by 6. In other words, I'd rather face the legal ramifications of some crazy ass attack like that than I would doing what's legally right and ending up dead. I'm going to start with the easiest, and that's what do I do at nighttime? Right here I've got a Glock 19 with a weapons mounted light. It's very easy to operate and it's very handy, and I'm very proficient with this, and I like using that as an indoor defense weapon. If it's daytime, I'm probably going to grab this Glock 19X. Okay, so a couple different Glocks. I am a huge Glock guy. Didn't used to be. I don't want to say I'm a fanboy, but man, I've carried a lot of different firearms. I've shot a lot of different firearms, and to me, the Glock 19 is the pinnacle for a self-defense firearm. And with plus P rounds and all the different ammo choices you have these days, if you ask me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Here's some Speer Gold Dots plus P ammo. But what you see on top here, the old AR, actually it's a newer AR, but this BCM, which has been a zero-fail firearm, well over 1,200 rounds for me now. Lots of rapid fire, lots of double tap, lots of everything. This particular firearm is great. But the question is, do I want to use that inside the house? It's a good question. Let's talk about it a little bit. I'm going to talk about some of the things when you're talking about inside a house that might be important for you, such as getting around a doorway. Oh, there's a toilet. Some things important such as getting around a corner, or getting around a corner, or getting around a corner. So you kind of see what we're talking about here. With a firearm, such as a pistol, inside my house, I have the ability to maneuver very easily. Now, can I do that with something like this? No, I can't. I cannot do that with something like an AR, as much as I'd like to. So, that's constraint number one. I've got a lot of corners in my house. Constraint number two is I've got neighbors on all sides. And firing any kind of projectile at 3,000 plus feet per second inside my home means it's going to leave my home. And you know, you guys with all your, hey, you can get frangible ammo, whatever. It's 3,000 plus feet per second. It's crazy. So I'm not a believer that this is an indoor toy at all. I am not a believer this is an indoor defense system. I do believe that if you're in the military or if you're in SWAT or something like that and you're clearing houses and it's not your house and you know, you're going up against heavily armed foes, that something like this might be appropriate. A few years back, I built this SBR in 300 Blackout. And I picked 300 Blackout primarily because I wanted optimal performance out of a short barrel. And I wanted a short barrel because I thought, hey, they're really cool looking. And I got to be honest, that's why I have most of the firearms I have. But the other reason that I wanted a short barrel was ability to maneuver within a structure. And am I ever going to do that? Probably not. Would I want to use 300 Blackout as a self-defense round inside my house? And the answer to that is no. Just like I don't want to use 5.56 as a self-defense round inside my house. Okay? A lot of people have their stuff geared to do that. And to me, like I said, these are outdoor toys. And the kind of arguments I've heard from people are kind of interesting. Having something like the trusty AR for defending yourself outside the house makes a lot of sense. But heck, while I'm at it, why not just grab the 7.62 by 51 Galil? I don't know. The point is these kind of firearms to me are designed and most effective when you're covering some distance. Now we all know that an AR such as this, especially with a 62, 72, 75, 77 grain round, is going to do some pretty serious damage out to 400 yards or so with a projectile coming out of the barrel at 3,000 feet per second. Okay. However, inside your house, trying to maneuver this around, what are you really shooting at? That becomes the next question. I know a lot of folks try to be prepared for every type of scenario that you can be when it comes to home defense or self-defense. I tend to have to let myself acquiesce to the laws that govern me for the majority of the situations that I'm in. For example, I don't have the ability to carry a loaded rifle in my vehicle with me. So even though perhaps a lot more vulnerable outside of my home, especially working in a busy downtown area such as I do, and I've seen some crazy stuff, I can't legally carry a loaded firearm with me in that scenario, a loaded rifle. However, as a concealed carry holder in my state, I can carry a loaded pistol or two or whatever I need. And I typically am, and I typically am also carrying a 6 and 8-inch fighting knife. So I'm as protected as I can be, but I can't protect myself against an invasion of well-armed and well-armored people. And that same is true for my house. I'm basically equipping myself to be prepared for your typical robber, your typical person who's going to break into your house looking to make a quick grab or do some quick violence. But if it's an organized effort, I'm not going to be prepared. A lot of people think they are, and a lot of people have night vision, a lot of people have chest plates and things like that, and I'm not here to tell anybody that they shouldn't have those things. We each have to make our own individual decisions at what level are we willing to go. And for me, it's about training, and it's about having a weapon that I know I'm going to be competent with at night. It's about having a weapon that I know I'm going to be competent with within the confines of my home. And it's about having a weapon that isn't going to go through a would-be assailant through a wall and kill somebody else inside my house, much less a neighbor. So that's the scenario that I operate in. I'm not covered for everything that can happen. I think people that think they are probably aren't. But there's certainly going to be some people that are out there that are a lot more hardcore than I am when it comes to defending their castle. I'm at probably about a B range in terms of what am I ready to handle. Now, you hear about all these scenarios, shit hits the fan. And I gotta be honest, I don't even know what that looks like. And I think a lot of other people don't know what it looks like either, but I'm pretty sure, since there's a complete lack of organization and communications in that situation probably break down, what you end up with is a lot of well-armed Americans are going to be mistakenly shooting other well-armed Americans out of fear, if not desperation, for things like food and things of that nature. So that's a completely different subject. But when we're talking about castle defense, this is how I'm going to defend my castle. I'd love to hear your guys' philosophies. I know everybody's going to be different. If you have anything in particular in common with me, it's probably that you want to have the right to defend yourself however you can. And for that reason, I strongly encourage anyone watching to support the National Rifle Association. That's my choice. Support the Gun Owners of America. Support your state and local chapters of various organizations. Check them out first. Make sure that they're fighting a good fight. Don't expect perfection from any of these organizations, guys. They're made up of human beings, but you don't want to count on Congress to take care of you. I don't trust politicians as far as I can throw them. This is DR Drake 63, thanking you for signing in, and so long.